Trying to open the roof.
You! Up there! Stop! Stop! It's Nisha! Listen to me! Stop! We'll take care of the creatures!
I'm sorry, Nisha! I'm stopping right now! But I'll only be able to open the doors for you once the area is completely secured!
us access now.
If I weren't one to be wary of all corporate rejects, I might be elated. Do you feel it, Zachariah? We are about to enter a legendary city.
Outcasts. Get used to it, old pal. That's us too now.
Nisha, I'm so glad to see you. We were starting to get worried about you. The news from Ophir sounded a little chaotic. You look healthy.
Worried? About me? Give me some credit. Let me introduce you to Zachariah Mancer. He's the reason why I'm here.
Look at that. The Technomancer who saved us from the Vori. Interesting. Very interesting. Happy to see you again. Now I understand why the Prince was insistent. He'll want to see you as soon as possible.
The Prince?
Dandolo. He rules our city. If I were you, I wouldn't keep him waiting. He loses patience quickly. There's nothing like fresh news for him to be on pins and needles. But don't worry. He's a charming man. And he loves Nisha.
Very well. I'll go see him.
Happy to see you in one piece, Zachariah.
Beg? I feel like I got ripped off.
Apologies. We were forced to improvise. Playing a simpleton is a great way to avoid attention when you are a mutant. You can go see the Prince now, but come back later. There's something I would like to discuss. I will be near the sand sails.
Wait a... Your name's Andrew, isn't it? We went to the academy together. But didn't we... I overheard you talking to Master Connor after I brought him to meet you.
I guess you overheard. Very well. Come find me once you've met with the Prince. We'll talk about it. Go now. Don't keep him waiting.
most exotic goods on the planet. All here, in one stall.
You, sir, just came at a fortunate time. I just stocked new merchandise.
resistance caravans arrived and it's going straight to the palace again. When will I ever get my delivery?
Stop being so impatient. The Prince wants a recollection of the journey and news updates from our distant contacts. It's normal and necessary. Without his vigilance, Noctis would be nothing more than a pack of misfits.
Yeah. But while the Prince is chatting, my goods just sit there. My perishable goods.
Quit your whining. If you've waited for months, a few hours won't kill you.
Welcome, welcome. What's your pleasure? What are you looking for?
You wanted to see me?
Yes. I apologize once again for having to play this role in front of you, but the situation was a difficult one, and I could not risk blowing my cover.
I understand. You're one of Dandolo's spies too?
No, I work for my people, even if Dandolo was a precious ally. I was in Ophir to plan an escape, but it was not exactly what I wanted to tell you about. I would like to offer you my services.
You're also a mercenary?
No, I am not interested in serum, and a Technomancer ally, yes. It is rare for mutants to know someone with your talents. So if you need a hand or any information, you know where to find me. And maybe I will ask for your services once in a while.
All right. What really happened with your mother? I must say I didn't understand much. That stone? The police's arrival?
My mother was helping me as much as she could to carry out my mission. She would provide me with information, sometimes hide mutants on the run before they could leave the city. She was a wonderful woman, Zack, but someone turned her in. Fiorello heard and raced to get me out with your aid. Though how I yearned to save her, to get to the slums to warn her. But I knew I could not. You, though, could. The stone was a token of recognition. She knew what it meant. If she was turned in, she had to leave as soon as possible. And if she couldn't, the drawing was made with an ink made of jellyfish venom.
But why give her that poison?
I didn't want her to die, Zack. I loved my mother. But I knew what the ASC would do to her in their jail. If they caught her, she needed a way to avoid being tortured.
When did you discover that you were a mutant?
The first symptoms of mutation appeared when I was very young. I must say that I can't really remember very well. My mother noticed them, and she taught me how to hide the marks, even though I think that I didn't know what it meant. She was hoping to keep me close to her, but as soon as the first marks appeared on my face, they spotted me out right away. I will never forget my arrest, how violent they were toward my mother. I was just a kid. I was sent to one of the farms on the outskirts of town. That's where I learned what it meant to be a mutant.
What's the Mutant Nation? You created it, right?
It is a little overblown, but I was one of its founders, among many others. Of course, other mutants were living outside the city as runaway slaves, hidden here and there, stealing whatever they could find in order to survive. A small community had settled in Noctis and benefited from the hospitality of the merchants, who allowed them to move around freely. However, we did not have any way to defend ourselves or plan a future. We were all spread out. A few of us decided to get together. We found a place, a very unique one, and we soon started doing it up, bringing in equipment and erecting houses. As for me, I especially wanted to free as many brothers and sisters as possible. So I went back to Ophir, and I realized that nobody cared about mutants, especially if they didn't look very smart. I began to help dozens of them escape. And our nation soon began to grow. There are a lot of us now, and I hope that all mutants will be able to live there someday.
What can you tell me about Ophir's mutant pen?
You saw for yourself. Violent slave drivers and harsh work conditions have reduced mutants to beasts, to the point where even some find themselves yearning to be petted. I do not hate humans, you know that, but when I think about that place, I feel outbursts of hatred. I would like to break the walls and see my brothers and sisters get out of that hell. Someday, I think that I'll do it. I'll destroy the pen.
What does Noctis represent for you?
It is the city of our allies. Without it, Mutant Valley would have probably never come into existence, even if some of them think the opposite. This town is welcomed and still welcomes many runaway mutants. Here they can free themselves from the servile state they were in. Noctis is somehow the freedom school for many of them. Of course, it remains a human city, and segregation is sometimes present even if it is not official. And I don't completely agree with Dandolo's decisions, but overall it is a place that I love that boasts of mixing everyone together, of bringing all philosophies into dialogue with each other, and of welcoming the hopeless.
What do you think of Amelia?
She's an interesting young and courageous woman, but Abundance brainwashed her. As long as she hasn't completely cut ties with the corporation, she will remain wary of everything, of anything foreign. I think that she has some pity for us mutants. That's more generous than what humans usually give us, but we don't need pity. We are a new people, not a gang of monsters regretting who they were. Maybe she will come to realize this. She is not stupid, and when it comes down to it, she has a thirst for freedom despite all the brainwashing she went through.
What can you tell me about Andrew?
He is a hurt man. He hides his suffering under a cynical and detached attitude. But he lost way more than his arm, even if I do not know what it is. If you could help him heal his wounds and become what he ought to become, you will discover without a doubt that he is a very giving friend. And maybe he will be less bitter.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's an unusual woman, Zack. She was locked up, tortured when she was a child. She managed to get out of the situation, and despite what she went through, she went back to Ophir under a false identity. Believe me, you have to be strong to do that. She is the best possible spy. She helps us as much as she can by providing us with vital information on the slave transfers so that we can go free them. And I know that Dandolo respects her a lot. But watch out. She is far from being the sweet and smiling young woman you met in Ophir. She is brilliant, generous, and she can also be merciless.
What do you think of Scott?
He's a great scientist, most likely a very good doctor.
Is that it?
Something bothers me about him, Zachariah. No doubt he appreciates you a lot. I learned that he went through a hard time, but I have a feeling that his sweet eccentricity is hiding something. But I don't know what, therefore I won't say anything else.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hello, Amelia. I'm fine, thanks. Besides your rovers, what else makes you happy here, Amelia?
Nature. Not the bugs or animals and stuff, but the landscapes, you know? Sunsets, mountains scraping the sky, red water trickling down the hills in the spring, gray lichen floating in the morning breeze. Back in Ophir, I used to take the rover out before sunrise just to take it all in. Always managed to put things in perspective, you know? How small we all are.
Amelia the poet philosopher. Who'd have thought it?
Why you gotta be a smartass?
Aha, I'm not. I was being... just never saw that side of you. The passion. Makes me want to take a rover out before dawn tomorrow.
Well, let's go together. I've always wanted to share it with someone.
Tell me more about you growing up.
What's there to say? I was a ward of the state in Abundance's centers. It was lonely and, you know, the other kids were assholes, but I gotta tell you, those times my dad returned from his missions, and I got to see him, best times of my life.
Wait, what? I thought the reason you'd been placed in a center was that your dad disappeared.
Who the hell told you that? No, I was real young when they took me away. My parents were always off on missions, and someone had to take care of me, you know? I don't even remember living with them. Honestly, I don't want to talk about it.
Sure, sorry. Yeah, of course. What do you think of Phobos?
I don't really know what to think of him. He must have had a horrible life. He's a mutant, and we all know how they are treated. And you know, that liberation story, that mutant nation thing and all? Freaks me out a little. He's very smart, however. I sometimes even have the feeling that he can guess what we're thinking.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's stuck up. She was pretending to be a princess in Ophir. Here, she's the boss. Like, I've got a lot of experience, and you don't know anything. Pisses me off. And she seems to forget that she wouldn't have gotten out of Ophir or gone on trips without me. Sick girl.
What do you think of Andrew?
Besides the fact that he still has to fucking square it with abundance, he isn't too bad. Street smart, and his being a smuggler gives him an edge. But he isn't into me, and I'm not into pining over a guy who doesn't bother to look at me anyway.
What do you think of Scott? You know him well.
Know him well? That's an exaggeration. He doesn't actually say much about himself. Most of the time, he's on his own planet, and before he gets back down to Mars, well, we lose radio communication. He's nice. He regularly checks in to see how I am. He used to bring me gifts when I was young, but he can't help commenting on the chances I take and all. It pisses me off. I like him, but he's not my father, I mean.
Are you seeing anyone at the moment?
What, you mean a boyfriend? No, not right now. You applying for the position?
I mean...
Look at your face! You can't even come up with something to say. Listen, you don't look half bad, soldier. Won't take too much for me to cuddle up with you at night.